Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the third webinar of a series of professional development webinars organized by MBC. My name is Dr. Mario Boris Curatolo. I'm the CEO and founder of MBC Management Business Consulting. MBC is a Swiss-based executive management training firm which organizes and runs training initiatives for executive CEOs, startup managers, and business people interested in redefining the way they understand their business and run their business so that they can prepare themselves for the future next normal market context. MBC also offers university graduates and business school graduates a business plan development course, which gives the techniques and tools necessary to turn an idea into a viable business, allowing participants to become entrepreneurs capable of setting up their own firms, creating employment for themselves and for others. Should you like to learn more about MBC, please visit our website, www.mbc-sa.com. Now, without any delay, let me with the topic of our webinar today, which is in a time of crisis, a time for boldness and learning. This webinar will be presented by myself and also by my two panelists, Dr. Pakrash and Dr. Kadiyan, both from the University of Delhi in India. Now, I would like to introduce the topic around which the discussion or this webinar will develop, and that is to what extent crisis situations force bold actions and quick learning as a way of introducing and developing a digital transformation. The crisis such as the COVID-19 has rendered time a luxury for firms in the sense that they have forced firms to speed up the implementation of both actions and the learning process, so that while in the past, business that once mapped digital strategies on a 1 to 3 years basis, now they must scale it up on a day or week basis. This process of transformation in the way firms operate during crisis has extended to all geographies and sectors, to the point that, for example, executives in the West are now saying that because of the pandemic, they will accelerate the pace of digital transformation. Asian banks have already migrated physical channels online. Healthcare providers have moved rapidly to telehealth. Insurers have adopted self-service claim assessment, and retailers have implemented contactless shopping and delivery. So this shows how the COVID-19 has forced almost overnight the organizations and individuals up the adoption curve. Why? Because digital has become central to every interaction. Digital channels have become the primary customer engagement model, and automated processes are becoming the primary driver of productivity. So agile ways of working have become a prerequisite to meet the daily changes to consumer behavior. So consequently, this has resulted in that boldness and decision and learning have had to become much more common as a way of helping firms stick, make gains stick. That means taking advantage of the crisis situation to force firms to learn and progress more quickly, and also adjust the way they learn so that they can adapt to a new normal tomorrow. Consequently to all this is that now is the time to reassess digital initiatives and not that of playing it safe. So the implementation of digital strategies require boldness and learning, especially during a crisis. In order to for this digitalization process to take place, because during normal conditions, organization culture hinders the agility and collaboration of firms, making them shift these decisions to take bold decisions and learn more quickly onto a second place. In fact, companies tend, during the normal time, tend to slow down the pace of experimentation, slowing down their ability to learn. As they slow down their ability to learn, they rarely embrace bold actions. As they rarely embrace bold actions, they become market followers rather than market leaders. Consequently, the digitalization process requires the application of bold, tightly integrated digital strategies. But what are these bold actions? And why is it that they have to be applied during a crisis situation? Well, to answer the first question, these bold actions that are needed to implement the digitalization process have to do with innovating the digital offering, deploying design thinking, and restoring the use of artificial intelligence. Innovating digital offering means building a nerve center that helps firms adjust to the evolving needs of core customers, and at the same time identify opportunities and partnerships that will allow firms to come out of their comfort zone. The second main action that is needed for firms to introduce or undertake the digitalization process is that of deploying design thinking. This means using systematic reasoning and intuition to address complex problems and explore ideal future states. This is the result of the fact that in the context of a crisis, the information and data changes so rapidly and so massively that firms are required to resort to design center approach that focuses on end users, i.e. customers, to identify their ecosystem and how this ecosystem changes so that the firm can adjust to a future normal situation. And finally, the final action that is needed to implement this digitalization process is the resort to artificial intelligence. Organizations use artificial intelligence tools and algorithms basically to redefine their business in an effort to outperform their peers. This is so because they need to look for ways in which they can manage and process information better and faster than the competition, so as to render their supply chains much more transparent, so they're able to survive in a crisis situation, and at the same time identify where the most value lies inside their organization. The second question relates to why is it that then this digitalization process has to take place mostly during crisis. Well, the reason is because during a crisis, there is a devaluation of firms, enterprises, industries, resources, human and physical, that allow firms to resort to a mergers and acquisition strategy capable of allowing them to build this digitalization process, which had not been possible, which could not have been possible in normal circumstances, given the high prices associated with firms or sectors or moving into a new industry, etc. Therefore, we find that the resort to both actions and quick learning has to come in pace with the crisis, so that firms learn to move boldly without it meaning moving thoughtlessly. In other words, how can or what mechanisms will there need to be implemented so that firms can actually prepare themselves to compete in a future new normal? And these actions are fundamentally four. One, that of quickening that data review. Two, testing and learning. Three, simplifying and focusing. And fourth, collaborating. Well, quickening a data review basically means seeking to evaluate new emergent data so as to identify quickly enough the shifting needs of customers and businesses so that firms can adapt. Two, quickening the data review means using platforms like, for example, video conferencing like Zoom, for example, to share information so that firms can understand much more quickly the viability of implementing new digital actions. For example, surgeons in Chile, in a hospital in Chile, watching a video conference of a surgery taking place in Houston by a key surgeon. It acts as a very efficient way in which the surgeons are able to actually see how the new techniques can be implemented, how viable is their application, and at the same time obtain feedback from the exchange of information to make them much more willing to apply the new techniques and the new knowledge. Also, as experimentation scales, or i.e. increases, also too does the learning. Therefore, firms are able to identify the technological endowments they have, and therefore judge how much and what type of technology they need to get hold of or read of. And finally, as more information and data is created, then there is an increasing need for security, scalability, and usability. Security has to do with the fact that the more firms learn, the more sensitive information they derive, and consequently, the greater need to protect that information. Scalability has to do with the fact that how much information, to what extent the size and amount of the information that they have can be scaled down their organization to render it applicable effectively. And usability has to do with what platforms or models or instruments are there that could facilitate the application of the information or data that they have. The second of the actions needed to allow the firm to progress towards a new normal is that of testing and learning. Here we see how our automation and predictive analytics helps firms identify much quickly problems, limitations that otherwise would be very difficult to identify without it. Two, the more information the firms have, the greater the need to scale the solutions of core businesses and process. The more real-time learning takes place in a firm, the greater the opportunities and to identify where the value of the firm is taking place. And then testing and learning will allow firm to identify which products, services, activities can be remotely exercised. The third major action that needs to be taken to allow firms to move on to the next normal is to simplify and focus. This has to do with the fact that as experimentation with learning increases, firms are able to streamline which sectors are adaptable and which sectors are not adaptable to their needs. And again, the more specific the information they derive, the more need they have to resort to a pruning strategy in which they are able to select which sectors to get in and which sectors to abandon, so that the firm can, in the medium and long term, become much more efficient and effective in what they produce. And finally, collaboration has to do with the expansion of the size of information, which leads to the need to organizations to collaborate, because the more they collaborate, the greater the information they obtain, and the quicker they learn more information. Therefore, the object of firms seeking to adjust to a new normal in the future will be that of expanding the collaboration curve. So, to conclude, let me leave you with a final thought. The digital transformation through in a time of crisis takes place through both actions and expansion in learning, because the greatest lessons emerge from the most devastating times of crisis. Thank you very much. I will now leave the word to my colleague, Dr. Pakrash. The word to you, Dr. Pakrash.
Thank you, Dr. Mario. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mario, while giving a very nice introduction of this topic. Digital study in the time of crisis, the time for the golden happy learning. It's a very essential topic, and you have introduced very well, and you have highlighted so many aspects.
Thank you.
And it's a very nice topic. And just my slide is visible there.
Yeah, very good.
Dr. Mario?
Yeah.
My, oh, okay. Thank you. First, as per this particular topic, digital strategy in the time of crisis, not only India, all many countries are suffering. As to this slide point is just we have to go through. They understand the crisis level and crisis. When we are talking about the crisis, not only the COVID, it's the COVID pandemics, and all world is suffering. So whenever crisis, crisis maybe, or it is, if it is natural crisis, disaster, any kinds of cyber attack in the country, misdeeds, offense in the particular your all systems whenever you are doing your business, maybe the financial crime, financial cases, so many happens, and maybe the particular this technological problems, so many crises were there, and maybe on your business supply chain problem may be observed. So in this particular crisis, my team is to understand the level of that particular crisis and this particular pandemics on crisis. We have, being a businessman, being a people, we have to be the understand the level of that. So first level, just we have to understand what crisis happening around. It is curable. It is, we have to observe this crisis in a directions of the business in the positive directions or negative direction. This is up to you. But as for my money, just it is observed. It should be the positive. What crisis happens in the society, in the market, is positive or it is natural. If it is positive, then our course of action, our reaction, business strategies, our learning and decision have to be different. If it is natural, then if it is natural, then how we are managing these natural aspects and course of life of our business. And if it is negative, and negative is very very dangerous, negative and response. If we have facing the negative crisis, level of risk and crisis during the crisis, its risk is negative. So it is very harmful for the business. How we are conducting our business if crises are negative, response are negative. So this is very dangerous zone for the particular our business. So in this particular pandemics, how you go through that? And one is your negative and removal. If any happening in the business negative, and if negativity is there, So this level, how can you can remove this particular level and fifth, layer of the risk crisis is your particular main crisis, whereas our business took place. So this is the particular crisis and level. Just we have to, as a businessman, we have to understand what crisis emerged now. Maybe COVID crisis, financial crisis, distribution, general crisis, any happening in the society, any kinds of crisis. So as a business leader, business tycoon, just we have to understand what are its level and implications. Level and implication both are very, very important. And as per that, we have to stand up, we have to take the bold decision and we have to go through that. So this is very, very important aspects. And in this particular point, second aspects, just I would like to just see here, digital business need to think about technological laggards. Earlier, before this COVID crisis, I say here we have not imagined about the particular Zoom, meeting, Google Meets, online teaching, online survey, online distribution, online management. Although we are working from home, either it is conference or any kinds of academic activity, non-academic activity, digital activities. So we are doing at home. So digital business need to think about the technological legacy, how technologies are required this particular time, and how to address this issue of the technology these days. Technological failure is kinds of one kinds of crisis. So if technological failure is there, how you can address the different issues of the technology, this is very, very important aspect. And now there is a rapid shift to work cultures, and it's become the practice of social distancing, and it will be in the coming future. The two things just we have to understand. One is rapid shift to work culture, not only in one particular nation, but globally. Work culture is drastically get changed. Work culture has get changed, and work culture is purely based on the technological upgradation and improvement and innovation. It is upgradation, improvement, and innovation. The work culture has been totally changed, as we are maintaining the social distancing. To maintain the social distancing, our this particular digitalizations of the society is essential. So during this particular point, just we have to go through these particular aspects as well. And my dear friends, use of the technologies to improve the ability to fight the pandemics over a sizable. You see the figure. I'm not going to just discuss all the particular studying all these things. I'm not going to repeat that. Is 81 to 1945%. So here, technology uses as per your business is concerned, which kinds of business platform you have to develop, because as far as the age level and uses of the smartphone, uses of online business, online transactions, different apps for the payments, receive and made payments, and many more. So this is the kinds of due to Census Bureau has revealed this particular data. On this particular data, just it is observed most of the age up to 50 are using online business, online purchase, sale, online business, online activities. They are very much habitual. But as soon as age increase, their online transaction and online activities has getting slowly down. So this is a matter of considerations in US market, not only US, in other countries. On the base of this data, we can also reveal Indian territories data I have, but due to less time, not going to show that. So we have to understand this technological, digital technological upgradations and our strategies, how to formulate this, and our decision, bold decision is actually required in this particular phase. And this coronavirus, I'm coming to the point, coronavirus, e-commerce crisis management for the today, and not only today, it's for the tomorrow as well. So first things in this particular crisis, we have create respond reporting based on the most up-to-date result, because this particular corona crisis, all informations, technological upgradation is purely based on the technology, and upgraded information is required. And in this particular this crisis, our customer is very, very respectful and very, very essential. And being a businessman, we have to take care of our the particular customers. We have to focus the changing scenario of the particular customer's attitude, customer preference, and many more. So these aspects under this particular crisis we have to understand. And not only this, we have to understand, we have to think what people are understanding about this crisis, what people are understanding about users of the particular technology and digitally, how they are upgraded. This point just we have to go through and understand. And as far as business concerned, we have to very much innovative, and our shipping time must be very very in time, and our business focus be transparent with the particular our consumer. And in this crisis time, whenever talking about the strategies, digital strategy, we have to update, we have to add value our in system, our products, our services, and our management. This is essentially required, and we have to also develop the particular trust with the particular people. If don't we are not able to create the trust during this particular crisis, then ultimately we are getting failed in the particular business. See, for learning phase in this particular crisis, whenever any crisis occurred for 1 week or maximum 2 weeks, in this particular phase of time, just we realize the gravity of the particular crisis. And then we move to the second case, is goes for the month of 2 or 3 months, whereas we redirected about our business, we established new process, we talked about the series, and we talked about the data collection. This is the second phase. Third phase of the understanding about the gravity, just we go for the particular third phase, we establish the new business sections, business model. We talked about long-term strategy, third phase, rather than short-term strategies. And actually, we reach the fourth phase, which is very, very important in this particular fourth phase of utilizations, whereas we go for the optimum utilization of labor resources and digitalization upgradation. And we invest in the new technologies, new efforts. The first phase where any crisis occurs, this phase we have to pass out. In Corona crisis, we are in the second phase, where we realize how to develop our new business model. In fourth phase, also we develop the new business models and many more. This is third or fourth phase later on, and our ambitions is very clear that we will move ahead. And we talked about the golden sources these days, where we can observe the particular figures in this particular Corona new strategy, digital strategy crisis. This I focus on the mobile. Mobile devices is very, very important this time, and this four golden sources from where we can start and restart our business. We can go for the innovation with new technology. This occurs the particular time, and no change without the right mindset. Any so we about agility, whereas in this particular times, no one can easily say the certainty of a particular crisis, epidemics, when and how it will affect. And during this, we also talked about the long-term perspectives or short-term perspectives. As immediate COVID case concerns, we talked about the long-term perspectives of our business, and we have to think about the future change. What changed today, and what the future change? There will no the particular physical distribution. There will the only online system will be there. So if these things took place, so this we have to, without any positive mindset, any things we cannot go through the change. We have to redefine the targets of the group audience, because this after this pandemic times, audience, their preference, their selections accordingly, just we have to move on. So this is the digital transformation strategies, where we talked about the strategy and sustainability, and we have to see the technology and management change, and also result outcome is very essential and very important. We can go through that particular aspects. So this is the strategy. I'm not going to much define. Later on, we on discussion, we will go for the discussion on digital transformation, analytics, cyber security. These are the technologies which is highly required, and this change management, everything takes place, and result we have to go for the result outcome. So this is the strategy we have to discuss. And last, in conclusion, I would like to say, act now and remain fit for future. As per the situation and crisis point, we have to act now, because at least we have passed at least 3 months, and we have to act now if we want to sustain our future and individual human being in the particular after COVID. So this is the point just we have to discuss with this view. And Mario, I very sorry for the inconvenience, and thank you very much.
Dr. Kanijan, the word to you.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Prasad. It was a wonderful presentation. Thank you. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Okay,
We can
fine.
see you.
I'm
We
starting.
can see you,
Yeah.
and we can hear you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm starting as usual. My first slide speaks about what organization and where we are from and all that stuff as such. And I'll be a little bit fast, but crisp also. But you can put me any questions. So, digital strategy during COVID-19, a time for boldness and learning. So, digital strategies and COVID-19, two depictions are shown. COVID-19 is showing there's a whole sheet of business which was clean. Because of COVID, these impacts have happened. And now, digital strategies also, there are plenty and numerous. So, what are the impacts that has happened on my business is going to decide what would be my digital strategy. So, if we talk about any business, they are mostly traditionally based on 4 or 5 pillars like HR, finance, marketing, production, and technology. So, which thing of an organization is impacted by COVID-19 and the intensity of the impact of COVID-19 on a given business shall be deciding the digital strategy for a given business. This is my premise for the whole discussion. So COVID-19 forced businesses around the world to rethink the way of doing business. In response to travel ban, school closure, social distancing, to limit the spread of virus, many people have turned down to digital tools to keep semblance of normality. Things are not normal, but we are trying to portray that things are normal with us. We are using various tools and strategies for that as well. So it has become imperative to digital transform our places of work and education to be able to operate effectively. Because it's a time for change, we have to adopt some means and methods by which we are able to do this. So companies able to use technology well and rethink their business model for future by fast tracking digital transformation will be the one ahead of their competition. Like my colleague Dr. Prasad just now concluded, you have to be fit and you have to work toward future. This is what the precise point I also mean here. And the next thing, now I have taken help of KPMG report on COVID-19. It says it is creating unprecedented disruption throughout our lives and global economy. So we did not talk much about it. The speed at which the events continue to evolve is unparalleled. Public health crisis, responses of government, changes in our life, and its implication on the economy. So the question is, businesses are already working hard to maintain resilience in the face of fast-moving trends, including technological innovation, extended supply chain, changing customer expectations, and of course, COVID-19. There are innumerable more facts also there, but I'm just mentioning few of them. The question is, playing it safe, is it worst option? So no, it's not. But one need to be quick as well. You have to reassess how fast you reassess the damages, implication, impact of COVID on your business decides your move. If it is not impacting you and the industry, then you can be slow. But if it is impacting you and your industry, you have to be quick and you have to take decisive actions on that. And how to move beyond comfort zone using systematic reasoning and intuition. Yes, my answer to this is by maintaining resilience. You don't have to fear, you don't have to panic. You have to understand, read the situations, analyze it, understand the intensity and impact of COVID on your business performances and operations, and accordingly you take decisions based on the 4 pillars which I told you: HR, finance, marketing, production, and the 5th one, the technology part. So Maintaining resilience will mean taking organization-wide view across three major pillars. First one is financial pillar. Then there is the operational pillar and the commercial pillar. Now I'll give you detail of these things crisply here. Financial resilience, the ability to withstand financial impact on liquidity, income, assets, and any other financial matters of that given business. Operational resilience is the ability to withstand operational shocks and continue to deliver your core business. It could be because of a supply line also. It might have get disrupted because somebody in the supply line has got affected, which is going to affect your operations in the business. So you have to have a resilience on that. And the third one is commercial, the ability to respond to changing market and consumer pressures. Like my earlier speaker, Dr. Prasad has mentioned, the people with higher age group with smartphones are not ordering much on the online as compared to a young small kid from 11 years to around 60 years of age. So this is what is a changing market. Accordingly, you have to design your digital strategies based on these parameters, broad parameters. So I am talking in general because if I take a case of a specific company, then I can critically analyze it. But here I'm talking in general about the business and the industry. So under financial resilience, what do we talk about? We talk about financial stress testing and forecasting. Now, financial stress for a banking would be different. Financial stress for an aviation industry would be different. Financial stress for an academic institution, engineering college, medical college, hospitals would be different. For a transport company would be different. For a hospitality industry would be different. Next one among that is liquidity and finance. This is the most important part of anything. If you have the finance to run the business, if you have the liquidity in the business, your business can keep on rolling. If the finance is, the business is creating liquidity in the due course of its operation in the crisis, even then it is a part of financial resilience. Then financial crisis response and contingencies planning. I hope by now all the business around the world have come down to a conclusion that what are the major financial crises they are facing. What are the contingencies plan they have to make, and rather I will say that they have already made contingencies plan and they would be just judging how things go further. The second part is operational resilience. Now, operational crisis management. I told somebody in the supply chain has plugged, got bankrupt, or closed down the business. My entire production, my entire operation is getting up. So operational crisis management, it can happen from the first point or the last point of your whole operational activity. The next is people. God forbid if my chief designer is affected by COVID, he is not able to be on the job. What do I do? So I need to manage on operational front as to what is the substitute for the next person to work in. If he is affected, if he is in quarantine, how is he going to function for me? Even in that case, I have to look at that part. Then technology and data. What technology is suited to me? For example, there are certain businesses which has got some processes secret, trade secrets. Technology should be such strong that my operational resilience should be so strong enough that it should not get disrupted or robbed or being, becoming masses kind of. The next one is premises and property. There are times when operational resilience puts me to a decision that certain properties needs to be auctioned and sold off, maybe sometime at below the market values, because my financial resilience also compels me to have liquidity in my business, and so on and so forth. And the last one, cyber and fraud risk. These are always there. They had been there, but now they're prominently very active. So these are operational resilience that you need to do, based on which my digital strategy will be based. Where I stand, what is the point which is hurting me the most? That is going to decide my digital strategy. And the next one, last one among them is commercial resilience. Market, product and services. My question is, does my product stand in the market today? Because of the change in the customer's preferences, because of some epidemic in the society. If not, like for example, the mask and hand sanitizers have emerged all of a sudden, and they have emerged in a very great demand. So many companies have, migrated or integrated to this new product, or they have added this product in their production basket as. So commercial resilience is market, product, and services. How do I do that? Based on that, my strategy will be there. Customer experience and behavior. As you know, in marketing, we say customers are the most important person in your premises, and be based on that. But if the customers are deserting you, in that case, what do you do? For example, company like Idea and the other counterpart of it, they are facing crisis because most of the people are deserting them. Now, this is what is customer experience and behavior in commercial real estate. How do you stop them? What is the thing that you need to do? That is going to decide my strategy, digital strategy for my given kind of business. And I will have to take certain bold and very active decisions also accordingly. Then the next is moving boldly does not mean moving thoughtlessly. I mean, there's an opportunity, I simply jump on it. It's not that way. Because any organization which is there in existence for a pretty some time, they're matured enough to understand, is it my cup of tea or not? If you strongly feel, yes, it is yours, and you strongly feel you have the resources and the strength to do it, you move to that. That's how it is. Bold decisions are bold, yes, you're migrating to some other new area because of change in the dynamics of the business. In my earlier session also, I told you, the business dynamics plays a very crucial role in deciding my bold move or somebody may think it is a thoughtless move. But as far as my corporate experience is, there is nothing called as thoughtlessly move in a corporate world. It's always well thought, well discussed, well deliberated, and that way. It might sound, totally off tangent, a paint company coming into making of a mask would look thoughtlessly, but paint is concerned with hand sanitizers because it is concerned with chemicals, and masks are also a product of which is cloth which is layered with some chemicals, so it matches if you really look at it. So thoughtless decisions are never existing in corporate world. I can say this with conviction. But somebody, in general, if you talk that, okay, when the decision doesn't pay dividend, we say it is thoughtless decisions. It happens in the AGM of the shareholders. They feel, why did you venture into this? They can question the board also, but that's a different part. Now, these are the three main premises on which I say my digital strategy will depend on. Then, with a change in workforce, commercial perspective or operational perspective, these 4 points are given here. Ability to work from home, remote learning, event going virtual, and technology. Now, for example, many organizations, consultancy organizations, have realized that they should allow people to work from home, and their experience has been saying it is a good productivity for them, and they are saving large amount of money in terms of real estate. So, ability to work from home is also driving a strategy wherein the company is saving the cost of operations of maintaining assets and workplaces. Similarly, remote learning. If the networking in the city is good, you have your technological prowess with you where you can connect with all your employees, be with your own satellite communications or be through the existing communications or whatever you can call that. You can remotely work with a person from different far-flung places. That will also work. Event going virtual. Most of these things are happening virtually, and technology, I'll not talk much about it. Now, digital transformation, many technology companies are rolling out tools that can support companies and organizations when going for remote working. Google is allowing free access to advanced features. G Suites, like in my Delhi University, we use G Suite among student assets. We can have a class of 250 students at one go, and there is no time limitations in that as well. Similarly, Microsoft is offering 6-month trial for top-tier Microsoft team enabling students. So my point here is the strategy depends on where the shoe is pinching me. How is it affecting my business? And based on that, my strategy will depend. And again, US-based conference like Zoom on which we are using, I mean, it's making remarkable things. 2 years back, 1 year back, we were not aware of it because we were not facing that dynamics. Now the dynamics have come, we have equipped ourselves and we are gearing ourselves. Likewise, businesses are also gearing up, and this is how the digital strategy comes into the picture. So Cisco, log me in, go to meeting, go webinar, WebEx, and so on and so. So my take on this particular topic here is that it is the intensity of the impact of COVID on a given business decides the digital strategy. And there is nothing called as taking decision thoughtlessly. In business world, it never happens because every decision has got a cost, and every cost has to be giving some return to the business. That's the rule of the business from the financial resilience. So using systematic reasoning and intuition, yes, the board is here where they use intuition, discussion, deliberation, and so on and so forth. Moving boldly does not mean moving thoughtlessly. This I discussed with you. So this is my take on this given topic today, and I was a bit crisp and very brief on that. And these are my resources from where I have taken certain inputs. And thank you very much for patient listening, and I'm open to any questions if you have. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Dr. Kadian. Very nice and thorough presentation. I think you've touched many of the ideas that I also mentioned in my talk. So it seems that we are in kind of same wavelength regarding the analysis of the pertinence of a digital transformation and how this digital transformation should take place. Now, regarding the situation created by the pandemic, it seems that the crisis generated create a level of uncertainty, which generate a fear as to a activity brought to an end or stopped, a total stop, if not controlled. Therefore, there is a substantial difference between a normal situation and a crisis situation. And it seems that all of a sudden, during a crisis situation, the pressure on taking bold actions and learning rapidly becomes urgent, and therefore very much depends on how this process of bold actions and decision taking or learning can take place. What instruments are there that can facilitate this capacity of firms to be digitalized? What should be digitalized, how it should be digitalized, and what are the implications, the operational implications of digitalizing.